Hello again! So it is time for the next part of my KonMari method series. This is going to be household equipment. So that's like your cleaning supplies, sewing supplies, those are some of the things that she lists out. And so I'm going to do these in a couple of different sections just based on what the different subcategories within household equipment. There's also like stationery and that sort of stuff. As a bit of a disclaimer, I'm not going to go through all of my stationery and paper goods because that is also a hobby for me. So I'm going to go through more of the office supplies and stationery, those sorts of things. But the Post-its, sticky notes, scrapbook paper, all of that, that's going to be saved for later in kind of the other category when I go through my hobbies. So to start out, we're in the laundry room here. It's a laundry / utility room because this is where a lot of our household equipment is. You can see on this rack here mounted behind the door, I have our broom and dusting things and dustpan and Swiffer, all that, as well as my 1-year-old's little broom and dustpan. My 4-year-old doesn't really play with it that much, so it's basically the 1-year-old's. So that is all of, that's a lot of our cleaning supplies right there. I'm doing it a little bit differently because, of course, I should take all of my cleaning supplies as well out and see if they spark joy and sort through all of them. But because I only have one of each thing and I use each of them, it doesn't really make as much sense to do that. I am going to, when we get to the household supplies, which will be the next video, take out all the cleaning supplies and we'll go through those. But for the equipment, it just didn't make quite as much sense to me to do that. So I've got all of these, which are used regularly. The closet is sort of a mess because it is the everything closet. So a lot of this stuff I am going to be getting out here in just a minute. Here you can see on the door, it's from IKEA, a plastic bag holder that I repurposed as a gift wrap holder, just on the back of the door. I love all of these. We use all of these. All of these are going to stay. And I can see right here exactly how many I have, and it is not too many, especially because these are some of the smaller rolls at the Target dollars from the Target dollar spot. So those they are used up more quickly. So here is this mess of a closet. On the top I have, I'm going to be taking a lot of this out. On the top I have bags that I'm going to go through, just extra bags to carry things basically. This is all sewing equipment, so that will all come out. Here we have, this is kind of the bulk of the household equipment. We have some vases, some cleaning supplies, a bin full of various household things, and then lights, household equipment, sorry. It's weird that there are two separate categories. It makes sense, but I keep conflating the terms, so I apologize for anytime I'm not clear. Those are light bulbs, so that will be more of the supplies because they are disposable. The equipment is the stuff that you're going to be holding on to and using again and again, and the supplies are the disposables. So this is all cleaning supplies that will be the disposables I'll go through the next time, with the exception of that dustpan, which is staying because it's a bigger one, and I like that. More household equipment, the rags. Then we get into the craft area. So there's craft stuff. This mess is all crafts. And so that I will be going through when I go through hobbies. Keep going down. We've got, this is what I went through in paper. So it's manuals. These are manuals for things for the kids, like their car seats and stuff, and spare parts. And then over here, this is household stuff. So the few household manuals that we do keep are in there. That binder is kind of my household binder. And sorry, my dryer. We're in the laundry room and I am doing laundry, so the dryer just turned on for the wrinkle release. Sorry for that noise. But that one is plans that were left by previous owners that have like samples from the carpets when they picked that out, all the work receipts that we've had done. It's something that I'm keeping all of it for now, and we'll pass it off to the next owner whenever we sell this house. This is an empty binder that I used for similar things, as well as in the back, those are blueprints from when the house was built. So all of that, all of this area is staying, but it's going to be passed on whenever we move. In the bottom here, you can see the electronics bin from my last video, as well as an extra monitor that my husband's insisting on holding on to. And then here is another cleaning tool. It is my steam mop. So this I love. It definitely sparks joy as much as a cleaning product can, and so it will be staying. So here in just a minute, and then over here you can see, sorry, we're going wonky. These are extra blinds that were left from us for the previous owners. I am going to be moving all of the blinds, because we have some other places as well, up to the attic. So it will no longer be here, but I'm not getting rid of it just because it's something I'm going to hang on to for any future owner, because it's something that's good to have a replacement for those, because I think they were special orders. So in just a second, I will get out all of my sewing and all of this stuff, all the stuff that falls under the equipment side. We'll get that all out to sort through. And then upstairs is where I have all of the office supplies and stationery sort of goods. So then we'll go upstairs to go through those, as well as the vacuum cleaner and carpet cleaner that I have up there, because that also falls under this category. So hold on one second, and let me get this all out. Okay, so I went around the house and gathered all of the household equipment category-like things I could find, with the exception of the vacuum cleaner and the carpet cleaner machine, just because I didn't want to lug those downstairs. So we've got ironing and laundry needs, some cleaning supplies, various household goods and vases, those bags, all the sewing stuff, more sewing stuff. So I am going to go ahead and sort through, make my piles, and I will be right back with my decisions. Okay, so that took a good bit of time to go through, mostly because of the bags, and also I had a lot of fabric and threads in my sewing container. My 1-year-old's up now and coming over to say hi, so if he comes through the shot, I'm sorry. So over here I have, there he is, my steam mop. This is all the keep, of course. My steam mop, my sewing machine, ironing board. Underneath are my cutting mats and accessories, as well as another thing of cutting mat accessories, and some sewing machine accessories, and my iron. Move that out of the way. So you can see all of that. So all of that is staying. All of that's been gone through, and it sparks joy. I don't sew as much as I would like to, just with the kids around, but I do still enjoy it, and I like to repair and make things occasionally. Of all of the bags, I'm just keeping these. I have 2 large paper bags, all with the rope handles, because I find they hold it better than the paper handles. So 2 large, 2 medium, 2 small. And then for the plastic bags, I only kept some of the apple ones, because I find that they are at least double or triple layered, and so I find they hold up better, as well as having the rope handles. So I have 1 large, 1 medium, and 2 small. So those are the ones that I'm keeping. I have some, sorry, my 1-year-old's singing. Some cleaning supplies over here. Oops, this one was meant to go over to the other pile. Sorry about that. So I have cleaning bucket and toilet brush scrubber, some gloves and rags, and my dustpan. Then I'm keeping all of the vases, because I do like to have fresh flowers a lot, as well as using the vases to store water beads for the kids to play with. Some candle accessories. And then we get into, there's some other household things, some candles, another couple of small vases. This bin I mostly cleaned out just as far as getting rid of some of the packaging. Some things, like there was a box of matches that only had 1 match left, so I put that in with the other matches instead, and our other candles instead. And then I got rid of all of the packaging for this little knob, because I do want to keep the knob, but I don't need the big package for it. So that's cleaned up some. And then we get into the rest of the stuff that was in this brown, see, it's now empty, oops, knocked over vases, storage container. So that has my sewing and crochet bag. I made this back when I was in college, I think. So I have the project that I've been working on forever and not getting anything done with, my knitting needles roll that I made, and a couple of books. And then this is just knitting accessories, like my crochet hooks, circular needles, DPNs, those things. So that goes into the brown tote, or it will. I gathered together, went through and got all of my sewing accessories tools, like Velcro, an extra rotary blade, extra needles, pins, elastic, no-sew glue. Rounded all of those up from the bottom of the container, bottom of the bin, put them in 1 bag so I can keep them together. This is just a little sewing kit that my mom gave me when I went off to college. It just has a bunch of thread and other needs, so if I just need to grab something and not get my machine out, then I will just grab this. This is all of my threads for the machine and filled bobbins. And then this is all of the fabric that I saved. So it's all fabric that sparks joy, that I love and enjoy, and it all fits into one bag. That's going to be my limit now to what fits into this. I think it's 2-gallon bag, maybe it's just a gallon-sized bag. But if it fits in here, I can keep it. If it doesn't, I need to either take something else out or not keep it after all. So I have one area that's sort of a limbo, and that's right here. Things that were in with all of this but don't necessarily fit in the category. So I have this little umbrella that's going to go somewhere it can actually be used instead of being in that bin it was in. I have some tissue paper that I'm going to put with my gift wrapping supplies because it was in with the bags, the paper bags. I have some white thread. This just was almost out, and then a couple of things that I got on clearance. And I'm going to put these with some of my planner supplies to use to stitch and bind my Traveler's Notebook booklets, because I just ran out of the white thread that I keep there. So this is small and compact and will go with there. The buttons I'm going to put with my craft, because I have a whole bag full of buttons in my craft area. And then these are beeswax candles that I use the beeswax a lot more for. I don't actually burn them, I use it to make things. It's like different lip balms or deodorant or hand salves, those sorts of things. So I'm instead going to try and grate these down and get them into a mason jar instead, so I can keep them all together with that material instead. So over to my Purge pile. I have a couple of pillows, one of which has holes in it, and then the other one is perfectly fine, but it's just not one that we use anymore. It's kind of faded. And I'd been holding them around, keeping them around to use as fillers for pillows, but I don't really need to do that. It takes up a lot of space for something that I don't know if I'm ever going to use. Also, I have some candles that were given to me as gifts that I don't want. A couple of sewing things that we either have duplicates of or I'm just not going to use. This cleaning brush that we just don't use. I can't remember the last time that we did use it, and it's just kind of gross looking now. A bunch of packaging and bags and stuff that's just to be thrown away. Here are all of the bags, the avalanche of paper and plastic bags that I purged. I think I know some more packaging. I think I inherited this from my mom because she had so many of these bags that she stored at their old house that she broke the cabinet door because it was just busting out. So I don't need these, and so they're going to be recycled. And then my pile of fabric that I was just holding on to, thinking I might make something with it. I really went through and decided whether or not it would spark joy. And these are all the ones that no longer spark joy for me. So they're all going to be gotten rid of somehow. So overall, I didn't expect to have that much to purge from this part of the category. But I'm pretty happy with what I did get rid of. It was long overdue, the bags and the fabric, to go through those. So the next step will be my stationery and office supplies, and so that will be upstairs. So hold on 1 minute. So we're now upstairs, and through the magic of video editing, we're actually a couple of days later because I never had a chance to finish filming this video on the day I started it. So we're going to dive in now to the office supplies and stationery and that sort of thing. We're not going to go through, I'll show you what I have. The stuff that was in my husband's area for office supplies are now in these 2 baskets that are in the master bedroom. Not really the best place for them, but since we turned the office really just into a playroom instead of an office playroom, there just wasn't the storage for it anymore, so it ended up here. And I've also got the, is it Raskog? The infamous IKEA cart that is wonderful. It's a kitchen cart, but it's great for storing all sorts of things. I have one downstairs that I have houseplants on as well. But this is the one that sits in the playroom. The cat is coming to sniff it out. I rolled it on in here because it has most of my office supplies in it, as well as our shared office supplies in there. It also has a lot of things for my planners and crafting. And so I'm not going to be going through all of it when I get it all out on the ground, but I will be going through that which isn't specific to that hobby. So here it is all now. I will get it out and we will start going through. So hold on 1 second. Okay, so here it all is out. As you can see, there's still some stuff on the cart, all that relates to my planner stuff, as well as the devotional book, and then And still in the, sorry for the tripod leg, but in here I have in the basket still a few packs of playing cards and some tools that we keep upstairs just for ease of hanging pictures and unscrewing battery compartments of toys and things like that, so we don't have to go all the way downstairs to where the rest of the tools are. So this is all of the office supplies, stationery sorts of goods. So let's get sorting. Okay, so I got a few little piles here. I'd planned on doing the time lapse for the purge, but then my husband's little tin that he has of fountain pen inks, those apparently had exploded at some point, and so it was a lot of me going and trying to wash my hands, all the ink off of it, and clean up the ink off of everything else, and it just got long, and it just got boring, so I decided to just cut all that out. So here we have magically all of the piles. This is the discard purge pile, and as far as like donate, and it's back to school season around here. We have a lot of year-round schools, so I'm sure that I will find, if I put this up on the Facebook buy sell trade group for our area, I'm sure it will be gone. So that's what I'm going to do with that. This down here is a small pile just of stuff that needs to be relocated. I'll zoom in a bit. There's some binder clips that we use in the kitchen that we always are running out of, so I'm going to add those down there. There's some tacks that belong out in the garage, as well as an X-Acto knife that belongs out in the garage, and a couple other little odds and ends that belong elsewhere. This is just a trash pile. So it's containers that we don't need because I got rid of all the stuff inside of it. The infamous ink cartridges, fountain pen cartridges that are exploded or faulty somehow, some lanyards that my husband had that were broken, some ink containers, not ink on the mind apparently, some lead containers, pencil lead containers that I consolidated all into one, software case I don't need anymore, and then a folder that had the actual folder part ripped out of it, so it was just a piece of heavy paper folded over. So don't really have a use for that. And now we start into the keep. So I am still keeping a lot. You can see it spans across there. And I will go through those quickly. We've got blank DVDs are that pile right there. We do burn a decent number of DVDs, and so that's what that is. That's our stockpile for that. That case right there has all of the CD-ROMs and CDs that we need for various computer programs. And then there's a pile of big fat rubber bands that my husband wants to keep that I don't really know why he has them, because they don't really stretch very far and they're really thick, but he wants them. An external hard drive. Then some pencils and report covers. This is all stuff that's my husband's. A multi-tool with a flash drive on the back. An old picture of me when just when I was about to start college that he has hung on to, as well as a protractor set. Then we get more into my stuff. We've got in the back there my cup of Sharpies and my cup of pens. I go through those pens and pencils. I go through those regularly, at least a couple of times a year, to make sure that they're all still good, and I use them regularly, so that is all staying. Some envelopes. Zoom out a little bit more. And then notebook, stationery, and office supplies sort of things. I'm purging a lot of my notebooks, but I am keeping a few, including that one right in the front there is actually index cards. I'm getting rid of most of my index cards that I had held on to over the years, just because I don't really use them often. I mean, I'm not in school anymore. I don't really have a use for them. But because I might, I'm keeping one and getting rid of all of these. So I figured that was a fair compromise, especially because those are all bound together in a notebook. We had a large amount of tape refills, which are right there. We also had a large amount of staples. Those actually I inherited when my husband and I got married. He had all these things of tape and staples, and we've barely touched the stash. So I decided we don't need to hang on to that many, so I cut half we're keeping, half we're getting rid of. That way we still have plenty and it doesn't feel as wasteful. Same thing with the stack of Post-its, keeping half of those Post-its and purging half of them. So that way we have backups for our supplies, for the different staplers we have and their tape and Post-its, but we don't have to spend the room to carry all of them, because in the end they are fairly cheap products, and the amount of space they take up, it's just not worth it. So just go and buy some others. I have my little tray where I keep paper clips. That sits right by my desk in the playroom, and so I have just all the things that I need on an ongoing basis that are office supplies related, as well as all of the tools like stapler and a tape dispenser, a couple of staplers actually. This, I don't know if anyone remembers these. It's the Factory F2 Plus. But it's a multi-tool, like back before the term multi-tool was a thing. I got this when I was probably maybe 6 or 7 or something. I have 3 older brothers, and they all got them, and I was so jealous of them. And so my parents agreed to let me get one, even though it has the scissors and a little letter opener. So I hang on to this for all these years, in part because it is useful, but also just from nostalgia, that this was the answer to, like, it's like a huge, inconvenient to carry around in your pocket Swiss Army knife, but it was so cool when I was younger. Oop, and I'm just letting things fall out of it. It's got a screwdriver in there too. So we have a whole bunch of envelopes, but we do still mail a lot of things. And so I am keeping all of those. That was a huge box that my husband got, and we've slowly been going through it over the years. I am keeping still the 4 rulers that we have, just because I always end up getting misplaced, and so this way I always have one. And then as far as my stationery, I've got a stack of, the bottom is just a box that I have blank note cards in. Then I have thank you notes on top. Over there are baby gift thank yous, which we don't know whether we're going to have a 3rd kid or not, but just in case, I want to hang on to those. If we decide we don't, then obviously I'm going to purge them. But for now, I'm hanging on to them. Got some return address labels and some various occasion greeting cards, so like wedding, get well soon cards, anniversary cards. I think a condolence card is in there as well. So just so I don't have to run to the store, I have a little stock of those, as well as some stamps. So that's all of it. Not a huge purge, but I am glad that I went through it, especially going through my husband's stuff, because I moved all the stuff over from the playroom/office into the bedroom, but I didn't really go through it. So I'm glad that this gave me a chance to really go through it, and also to be rational about the amount of excess stuff we had. I mean, I always held on to it because I knew we'd use it eventually, but for things that are this cheap and so easily replaceable, it just doesn't make sense to have that many in reserve. So there we go. Next will be household equipment, so look for that video coming up next week. What did I just say? Household supplies is what it's going to be. This was household equipment. So look up for the household supplies video coming up, and after that we'll get into the kitchen. Thanks so much for watching. I hope that this was fun, and it's always good to be nosy, isn't it? To see what other people have in their houses, what they deem worthy of keeping, and what they want to get rid of. So give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed looking through my stuff, and subscribe if you want to look through some more. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.